You ever notice how every time immigrants finally start to breathe, Washington drops another surprise designed to make them panic all over again? Well, here we go, because a brand new visa ban is quietly sitting on the president's desk. And if you're a green card holder, a visa applicant, or someone planning holiday travel, this could flip your entire year upside down. Before you think this won't affect me, you need to hear why people are already canceling flights. If you're interested in this topic, hit the like button, subscribe, and type interested in the comments, and I will give you a heart. If you've lived in America long enough to understand how immigration works, then you already know one uncomfortable truth. Calm never lasts. Every time the system feels stable for a few weeks, a new policy rumor escapes DC, and suddenly millions of immigrants start checking their passports, rereading their green cards, and texting family to ask, should I still travel? And right now, that panic is building fast because the Trump administration is quietly preparing a brand new visa ban that could affect visa renewals, re-entries, and even some green card holders returning from abroad. And the worst part, most people won't realize they're affected until they're already at the airport. So let's get right into what's actually happening, minus the political sugarcoating. In early November, senior White House officials confirmed that the president's immigration team is reviewing executive authority to issue a new visa suspension order before the end of the year. They're not calling it a ban, at least not publicly. They're calling it a targeted national security review. But anyone who's lived through the last 10 years knows exactly what that language means. It means someone's travel plans are about to be wrecked. It means people who already booked holiday flights might need to cancel them. And it means certain visa categories, the ones that rely on annual renewals or re-entry stamps, could suddenly face new screening, new restrictions, and new wait times. Now let's be clear, as of this moment, nothing official has been published. There is no executive order sign, no public memo, no DHS announcement, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. What's happening is the pre-work, the part that always begins weeks before a policy drops. Agencies reviewing categories, consulates preparing guidance, DHS analyzing which countries to target, USCIS strengthening their continuous presence checks, and immigration attorneys are seeing the warning signs, the same warning signs they saw before the previous ban. Meanwhile, immigrants and green card holders can feel something shifting, even if they can't describe it yet. Travel feels riskier, visa renewals feel slower, background checks feel deeper, and uncertainty is spreading again. So what kind of ban are we talking about? Experts believe this won't just be a simple no entry for X country situation. This time, insiders say the proposal has three components. First, country-specific restrictions. Early drafts suggest the order may focus on regions with heightened security reviews that could mirror older travel bans, but with new categories added. Second, visa renewal restrictions. This is the part causing most of the anxiety. The plan under review would require certain visa holders to complete new security screenings before renewing. That means people who have lived legally in the US for years could suddenly face new checks, new interviews, and potentially new delays. Third, green card travel scrutiny. This isn't the same as banning green card holders from returning, but it does mean lawful permanent residents could face tougher secondary inspections, more questions about their stays abroad, or deeper reviews if they recently traveled to countries on the restricted list. And if you think green card holders are safe, remember this: even the strongest status becomes complicated the moment you travel internationally. Because the moment you step out of the country, you must re-enter, and re-entry always gives immigration officers discretion. That's why people are nervous. Green cards are powerful, yes. Secure, yes, but not invincible. Now, here's where it gets even more serious. This proposal isn't random. It falls directly in line with the administration's larger immigration strategy, a strategy built on three pillars. One, limit short-term visas, especially work visas, to reduce labor competition. 2, slow permanent residency growth by tightening every step from I-130 petitions to NVC interviews. 3, expand security-based screening, giving officers more authority to delay or question re-entry. Together, these create a system where travel becomes a privilege, not a routine. And immigrants feel that shift immediately. Green card holders who usually travel to see parents start asking, should I wait? Students wonder if returning home for the holidays could complicate re-entry. Workers on H-1B or L-1 visas suddenly think twice before booking any international trip because a delay could cost them their job. Families waiting abroad fear their interviews will be postponed again. And people with pending NVC or consular cases are stuck refreshing their email every morning hoping nothing changes. So no, this isn't just a policy rumor. This is a real shift, one already affecting how immigrants behave today, even before any official announcement. The emotional toll is heavy. Immigrants are some of the most disciplined planners in America. They plan around visa dates, school schedules, interview appointments, tax filings, employment letters. But suddenly, travel is becoming unpredictable. And unpredictable travel is dangerous because it can leave people stranded outside the country, delayed at airports, or forced into secondary inspection with no idea why. So let's talk about what this means for real people. Imagine a green card holder who booked a flight to see a sick parent abroad. They haven't traveled in years, they've followed every rule, paid every tax, did everything right. But this winter, they could return to the US and face questions they've never heard before. How long were you abroad? What countries did you visit? Do you still maintain residency in the US? Where do you work? Do you have proof? Imagine a software engineer on an H-1B visa planning to travel home after years away. If their visa category ends up on the restricted list, even temporarily, they might get stuck abroad waiting for a new clearance while their employer begins looking for someone who can start immediately. Imagine parents who've waited 5, 10, sometimes 15 years for a family visa interview. A new ban could push their case back months or even freeze it if their home country appears on the list. This isn't fear-mongering. This is the pattern every immigration attorney has seen before. And this time, the warning signs are flashing again. So where does that leave you? If you're a green card holder, the biggest risk isn't losing your status, it's losing your predictability. If you're a visa holder, the biggest risk isn't denial, it's delay. And if you're waiting through NVC or consulate processing, the risk isn't rejection, it's stagnation. Because in immigration, silence is sometimes more dangerous than a loud announcement. You don't get warnings, you just get consequences. And right now, the responsible move, the move that could save you from major complications, is to prepare early. Gather your documents, watch your travel dates, and stay alert. The people who prepare always survive these policy waves. The people who wait always suffer the most. If part 1 explained what's coming, part 2 explains why it's happening and why this moment feels so familiar to millions of immigrants who lived through the last era of sudden travel bans, last-minute restrictions, and overnight changes that flipped people's lives upside down without warning. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Immigration policy in the United States doesn't move slowly. It moves quietly, then hits all at once. And right now, all signs point to a repeat of that pattern. To understand what's happening, you have to look at the broader strategy the administration has been building all year. Since returning to office, President Trump has made it very clear that his immigration agenda isn't just about border enforcement. It's about tightening legal immigration, reshaping visa categories, and slowing down permanent residency pathways. And this proposed new visa ban fits perfectly into that strategy. It starts with the simplest idea: make travel harder, not impossible, just harder. Hard enough that people hesitate, reconsider, postpone, or cancel international trips. Hard enough that immigrants start policing their own movements. And hard enough that case backlogs grow naturally without the government ever announcing an official slowdown. This is why immigration attorneys saw the warning signs weeks before any rumor went public. They noticed an unusual spike in requests for evidence. They noticed interviews quietly getting pushed from December to February. They noticed background checks taking longer. They noticed embassies pausing on certain cases. When immigration slows down, it doesn't shout, it whispers. And those whispers are getting louder. And now let's talk about the elephant in the room: why green card holders are nervous, even though their status is considered stable. On paper, lawful permanent residents should not be affected by visa bans targeted at non-immigrant categories. But immigration doesn't operate in theory. It operates in real-life situations, especially at the border. When a green card holder travels internationally, they still must be admissible upon re-entry. And admissibility comes with conditions: continuous residency, no long gaps abroad, no trips to regions under special review, no unresolved background checks. A visa ban that focuses on security-based screening naturally triggers deeper inspections for anyone returning from flagged regions, including green card holders. That doesn't mean they'll be denied entry, but it does mean they may face secondary questioning, extra documentation requests, or verification delays that make the re-entry process unpredictable. And if there's one thing immigrants hate, it's unpredictability. It shakes trust, it kills travel plans, it affects family emergencies. It forces people to choose between seeing loved ones and protecting their legal status. And unpredictability is exactly what's spreading right now. But why now? Why November and December? Because winter travel season exposes the system. Millions of immigrants fly home to visit family during the holidays. Students return for break. Workers travel for weddings, funerals, and reunions. Airlines run at peak volume. Ports of entry are at maximum traffic. This is the moment when a policy shift affects the largest number of people in the shortest amount of time. So if you're wondering why the administration is reviewing executive authority right now, it's simple: timing. A visa restriction introduced during heavy travel weeks creates the maximum deterrent effect with minimal enforcement. People stop traveling voluntarily. Embassies slow down automatically. Officers take longer at re-entry points. And the system naturally produces the slowdown the administration wants without needing to declare anything dramatic. But the question everyone is asking is, who will be affected? That depends on which version of the ban moves forward. According to insiders, there are two likely models. Model 1 is a limited country-specific ban. This would target a small list of countries deemed high risk for security or political reasons. If you're from one of those countries, your visa renewals could be temporarily paused, your re-entry screenings could increase, or your consular interviews could be pushed out. Green card holders from those regions may face additional scrutiny upon return. Model 2 is the broader version, the one experts are more worried about. This version touches multiple categories at once: H-1B, L-1, F-1, J-1, and possibly even visitor visas. Instead of targeting countries, it targets categories and adds temporary restrictions until new labor and security reviews are completed. This is the model that would affect the most people. And based on how the administration has structured policy this year, some analysts believe this broader version is more likely. But even if the narrow version is adopted, there will still be ripple effects across the entire immigration system. Why? Because consulates, embassies, and border officers always adjust cautiously. If they suspect a new rule is coming, they pre-adguest. They delay interviews so they don't accidentally approve a case that might fall under the new rule. They add extra screening questions so they won't be blamed later. They slow document reviews so nothing moves forward faster than the administration wants. You don't need an official policy for the slowdown to begin, just the rumor of one. And that's exactly what's happening right now. This is why people with pending NVC or constantly cases are checking their emails constantly. This is why immigration attorneys tell clients to postpone travel. This is why green card holders who once traveled freely suddenly feel uneasy about booking flights. And this is why visa holders are thinking twice before stepping outside the US, even for emergencies. The emotional strain is real. Imagine working for years to build a life in America, then suddenly feeling like one flight home might complicate everything. Imagine waiting 10 years for a family visa, then hearing that a new rule could delay your interview again. Imagine being a student who risked everything to study here, now afraid that a quick trip home could get you stuck abroad. Immigration isn't just a legal process, it's a human process. Every rule affects someone's job, someone's marriage, someone's education, someone's children, and every rumor sends shockwaves through entire community. That's why Part 2 matters. It reveals the real stakes, the real reasons, and the real impact behind this possible visa ban. But now the question becomes, what should you actually do? What steps today, not later, can protect you? And that's exactly where Part 3 leads. If Part 2 exposed the strategy behind the proposed visa ban, Part 3 delivers what you actually need: the steps, the safeguards, the mindset, and the preparation that will protect you no matter which version of this rule becomes reality. Because at the end of the day, immigration isn't just about policy, it's about positioning. The people who stay ready don't panic when changes hit, they adapt. And right now, adaptation is your greatest advantage. The first and most important step is simple: review every document connected to your status. Most people wait until they're packing their suitcase to check expiration dates or gather proof of residency. That approach might have worked before, it won't work now. If a visa ban goes into effect, even a small mismatch in dates or a missing document can trigger delays, secondary questioning, or postponements that could disrupt your re-entry or your visa processing. Start with the basics. Make sure your passport has at least 6 months of validity remaining. Confirm your green card or visa has no approaching expiration. Check that your last entry stamp matches your travel history. If you've moved recently, make sure you filed your change of address with USCIS. If you're a green card holder, gather proof of continuous residence now, not after you've traveled. tax returns, pay stubs, W-2 forms, utility bills, lease agreements, mortgage documents, or school enrollment records. These aren't just nice to have, they are your safety net. And if a border officer asks for proof of ties to the US, these documents can be the difference between a smooth entry and a stressful delay. For those still waiting abroad for an interview under the NVC or consulate review, your strategy is different. You need to prepare for delays even before they happen. Keep your civil documents updated and ready. Police certificates, medical exam results, birth certificates, and financial sponsorship documents. These expire faster than people realize, and consulates will not proceed with outdated paperwork, especially during a policy shift. If an official visa suspension affects your country or your category, you want your file to be instantly ready the moment interviews resume. That preparation alone can save you months. Now let's talk about travel. If you are a visa holder, H-1B, L-1, F-1, J-1, O-1, or any non-immigrant category, the smartest move right now is to minimize international travel unless absolutely necessary. Not because you'll lose your status, but because re-entry rules tighten the moment new security-based executive orders are introduced. Visa holders are always the first group affected by increased scrutiny at ports of entry. Officers can delay you, question your employment, ask for updated documents, or trigger additional screenings. You do not want to be stuck abroad if your visa needs renewal and a new ban suddenly pauses those renewals. If you must travel, treat your re-entry like a job interview. Carry your employment verification letters. Bring recent pay stubs. Keep your I-20 or D-2019 updated. Have proof of school enrollment if you're a student. Carry your approved petition notices, not digital copies, but printed originals. It may feel old-fashioned, but immigration officers trust paper more than screenshots. For green card holders, the advice is slightly different. You aren't at risk of losing your status in one day, but you are at risk of facing unpredictable questioning if you've taken extended trips abroad. If you've been outside the US for more than 6 months recently, expect questions. If you've been outside for more than a year without a re-entry permit, your re-entry could be delayed while secondary checks are completed. You may need to show proof of your US residence to prove you haven't abandoned your status. So ask yourself now, if an officer asks you to prove you live in America, what would you show? That's what you need to gather. Now let's shift to the second part of your preparation, monitoring. Immigration policy changes fast, and rumors spread before official announcements. But here's the trap. Rumors can mislead, confuse, or cause unnecessary panic. Don't rely on social media pages, WhatsApp groups, or random immigration forums. You must get your updates from official government sources. That means USCIS.gov for policy memos and processing updates, travel.statement.gov for consulate operations, CBP.gov for re-entry rules and travel procedures, whitehouse.gov for executive orders, and your own attorney if you have one. These are the only sources that matter. As soon as the visa ban is formally announced, it will appear on one of these sites. Not on Facebook, not from a cousin in another state, not from a viral TikTok video. The next step is communication. If you have an employer who sponsors your visa, talk to them now. They need to know you're paying attention because these changes affect them too. A visa ban could mean they must update your I-129, prepare extra documents for renewal, adjust travel schedules, or provide new proof of your job role. They don't like surprises any more than you do. And if you're waiting for your green card through employment, you need to make sure your HR department or immigration team knows when your priority date becomes current. Now let's talk about the personal side of this, because immigration changes don't just affect paperwork, they affect lives. If you have travel booked for December or January, ask yourself if that trip can wait, not forever, just until the policy becomes clear. Many families remember what happened in 2020, when hundreds of visa holders found themselves stranded abroad after sudden restrictions were announced. Flights were canceled, interviews were paused, embassies shut down. People lost months, jobs, and opportunities because they traveled during a moment of uncertainty. The difference now is you have advance warning. You have the chance to plan ahead instead of reacting afterward. A few weeks of caution could protect years of effort. Another step you cannot ignore is maintaining copies of everything. Scan your visa, green card, passport, I-94, approval notices, receipts, and travel records. Store them in a digital folder and a physical folder. If a change affects your category, you want instant access to your documents for your attorney, employer, or the consulate. And one more step, the one most people skip. Follow your case like clockwork. That means checking your USCIS account weekly. That means watching your DS-260 or CESC status if you're abroad. That means monitoring your biometrics appointments, your RFE deadlines, your medical exam expiration, your passport renewal date. Nothing in immigration moves fast until it suddenly does. If a ban creates a window of opportunity, you want to be the person who is ready to move immediately. Finally, the most important action is mental preparation. Policy changes aren't personal, even though they feel personal. They are strategic decisions made at the political level. But your greatest power is staying informed, staying prepared, and staying adaptable so you don't become a victim of uncertainty. You don't need fear, you need readiness. And readiness starts today.